Hello, President of Doohickeys You Need Incorporation. Thank you for coming to my presentation, and today we'll be talking about one of the main problems that is plaguing our organization. If we want our employees to be able to stay and gain in their trust for our company, we need discipline. And what does this mean exactly? And why should this be addressed? That is a good question. Discipline helps us to correct bad behavior from the employees and sometimes, unfortunately, leaders in our organization, and this helps to ensure compliance with company policies, and it promotes a stronger and more positive work environment overall. Now, without proper discipline, there are many problems that can happen. First of all, bad behavior continues unchallenged. If we do not have discipline and specific instructions on how our employees can improve their work and what they can do in order to follow our policies, then they will continue to be broken, and the productivity of our organization will continue to decrease. Also, employees will feel less responsibility for their work and their actions, also their mistakes, and for breaking policies. If disciplinary action is not taken, no behavior will ever change. Now, I have brought together 4 separate solutions, things that we can do in order to properly bring discipline into our company. Our first solution is having consistent rules for every employee. This is important. We can't treat any employee as more important than another. We can't ever play favorites. If you were to bend the rules for one employee and treat them as more important than any other, they will notice. Employees who do not receive this special treatment will feel inferior or less valued by the company and our leadership. Also, consistent rules will help our employees to understand what is expected of them, and therefore it will increase our productivity, because if every employee is doing exactly what they should be, then our organization will find more success. Now, solution number 2. We need to be able to make policies for when and how disciplinary action should take place. Obviously, discipline should not happen for employees that are doing the right thing or that frankly aren't that much of a problem. And so, every manager, as well as every employee in general, should understand and expect disciplinary action, both when it is required, when it is happening, and how to improve. To accomplish this, there should be trainings for the leadership so that they can better understand how and when disciplinary action is appropriate. These policies should be plain to understand, but also direct enough to tackle the problems. They can't be too vague where it can be open up to interpretation. They need to be direct, but at the same time, they shouldn't be too complicated. All right, our third solution, we have giving private written warnings for discipline. Now, the private part is very important here, because if written warnings for discipline or for mistakes that employees make that are requiring discipline, if they were to be released into the public or shared amongst employees, that would seriously harm that employee's reputation and their chances at another job. And so we need to make sure that that does not happen in order to protect their privacy, of course. Written warnings are significant because they are clear and have little room for misinterpretation. They show the employees exactly what they should be doing to fix the problem, whatever it is. All right, so our fourth and final solution. We need to create a policy for the times where suspension should happen. Now, suspension is what happens when an employee is temporarily removed from a company, usually without pay, for a time. There are companies that sometimes suspend employees while still paying them, but most of the time that isn't what is appropriate for the situation. Sometimes the best course of action, unfortunately, for those that need to be disciplined is to suspend these employees. This does not mean that we are going to fire them or that they are not meaningful to us, but problems need to be taken care of. And if bad behavior is consistent amongst our employees, we need to do something about it. A few situations where suspension would likely be appropriate could include harassment of any kind, especially sexual harassment or violent behavior, violent actions of any kind actually, or intentional breaches of company policies, especially theft and lying to their superiors. These are some of the sources that I used for this presentation, and I would just like to say thank you very much for coming and hearing what I have to say about this very important topic. I think that if proper discipline is given to the employees of Doohickeys you need, I think we will find much greater success in the long term. Thank you.